three refuges. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Sangham saranam gacchami.
Sangham saranam gacchami.
Good morning and welcome. Good morning and Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and thank you at home for tuning in. A special welcome for those who are visiting RBC for the first time, and thanks just for taking the time to be here in this important moment to share the Dharma, to share what's in our hearts. We will begin, as we do, with our Shoshinge chant and incense offering. For those who are new to the temple, the Shoshinge is chanted from this book in the seat back pocket right in front of you. And it opens from the opposite way, but it says Shoshinge on the front. And it's chanted in vertical lines from right to left down. So it might be a little complicated at the beginning. You can just sit and listen. That's totally fine. Chanting is a core practice of our tradition, and it was written by our founder, Shinran Shonin, that monk at the top of the line of pictures, over 850 years ago in Japan. The Shoshinge compresses all of his experiences and insights and the teachings of our lineage in one beautifully medium-long poem. Kind of long. In it, we realize the principles that guide our lives. Shinran wants us to know that life is more than just a simple journey from cradle to grave. We are part of that long, unbroken thread of life that extends deep, deep into the past, and we are responsible for extending that into the future. We also offer incense during our chanting, and everyone is encouraged to offer incense right here, as Reverend Matthew and I just did. And at home, please offer incense or food or water or a flower or anything that's in gratitude to the infinite wisdom and compassion that surrounds us and supports us. Burning incense symbolizes the transcending of selfishness to become one with all. So, please offer incense with compassion for yourself and for others, and for gratitude for all that we have. Thank you so much. Kimyo muryo 十如来南無不可思議光法蔵菩薩因に寺財政自在応部省刀剣勝負浄土院国土人伝自然幕根流無常修正願長法慶右大偶税高校私有師匠十十世名称文字法不法無量無変更無下無体公園の少女歓喜知恵子不断難死無償子超日が交渉人生一切群上無交渉本願名号少女語死神信行願人上等学書大涅槃非死滅道願成就如来所意公衆性唯生弥陀本願会五辱悪事群上会法身如来如実言の法一年喜愛心不断本の特涅槃本性逆法再永入入手侵入開一味聖主信仰上昇後意の水波無明暗頓内心臓死運無上不信じ信心天非尿に幸福運無運無資源妙無暗逆心謙虚大狂気即応超税後悪臭一切全幕本部人門心如来偶税願仏言広大小芸者税人名踏んだりけ弥陀部本元年部邪見教魔なく修上信行十字人に難中死な昔インド祭天子論下中華自治一期思考層現代諸公聖書意妙如来本税大き釈迦如来ヨガ戦一種五妙難天竺流中大自主等性の財派有無権先世大乗無常法召喚議事小安楽賢治難行六六信行異行指導楽億年弥陀部本願人年即時入筆上唯の上昇如来語法大悲偶税音天神菩薩増論性奇妙無下根如来永寿たら謙信寺高専王朝大聖願こういう本願力栄光二度群上小維心記入功徳大崩壊筆脈入大永寿主特使蓮華造世界即小信用法小心有望の人間人図入所自音自王下本自動乱両天使上皇乱小菩薩来三蔵ルシ十上教本性専業気楽法天神菩薩論中下報道因果見世願方言栄光有他力少女死因唯信人惑前本部信人法承知承知即涅槃非死無量光明道 小雨修正回復系同社継承道南省
唯
明浄土活入万全自力変言中円満特合感染症三風三神慶音言増魔法明道非因異生増悪地偶税思案妖怪称名化全道独名武将意公愛上三両逆悪公明明語権威年海入本願大地会行者小樹金剛心狂気一年総合用意大東逆三人即小法小四上楽原神公開一代表変気安養官二祭先祖終身反戦人法家二道小弁流極十悪人唯勝部外悪罪非正集中煩悩証言水不見大非無見上昇が本次元空明仏教連民全幕本部人新宗教書後編集戦弱本願具悪性現来生じ臨伝芸慶地義上位少子即入弱上無意楽七神寺に納入仏教大自主使徒上妻無変極直悪同族自主愚道心唯家心し放送せナムアミダアムナムアミダアムナムアミダアムナムアミダブナムアミダアムナムミダジョブのこの方は今に自己へたまえり星のこうりえぬきわもなくせのもみょうを照らすなりこ観にしくどく平等聖祭同法菩提心往生は Namandabu. 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 Namandabu.
We would like to invite the children to go to Dharma School with Reverend Shelley. We will sing them out with Let the Buddha Walk With You. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk, just walk. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk, just walk. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk with you.
The Metta Sutra on Loving Kindness. On one occasion, the Buddha was teaching among the Kolyans at a town named Halid Devasana. Very early in the morning, many students donned their robes and carried their begging bowls into town, but it was too early for the alms round. So they resolved to wait in the parkland where spiritual wanderers of other schools congregated. The students went to the park of the wanderers. On arrival, they exchanged courteous greetings with various wanderers there and sat together. As they were sitting, a wanderer from another school asked them, "Friends, I have heard Gautama Buddha teaches his Dharma meditation to his students. We abandoned the 5 hindrances by bathing the East with an awareness steeped in loving kindness. Likewise, the West and North and to the South. Above, below, and all around, everywhere in its entirety, keep pervading the all-encompassing cosmos with your awareness imbued with loving kindness. Abundant, expansive, immeasurable, without hostility, without ill will. And then we bathe the East with an awareness steeped in compassion. So to the West and the North and to the South, pervade compassion. Above, below, and all around, beaming the cosmos with your awareness imbued with compassion. Abundant, expansive, immeasurable. And then we bathe the 4 directions with awareness steeped in joy for the good fortune of all beings. Above, below, and all around, everywhere, beaming the cosmos with your awareness imbued with sympathetic joy. Abundant, immeasurable. And then we bathe the 10 directions with awareness steeped in equanimity and peace. Beaming the cosmos with your awareness imbued with equanimity, expansive, immeasurable. I must ask, friends, What difference, what distinction is there between Gautama Buddha and other teachers on these 4 immeasurable attitudes? The Buddha's students neither delighted nor rejected the words of the wanderer, but they got up from their seats and left, thinking, "We will ask the Buddha this question and return." So, having gone for alms in town after the meal, the students went to the Buddha, bowed to him, sat to one side, and asked him how to answer. Students, when wanderers of other schools ask this, please respond with this question: how is awareness steeped in loving kindness developed? What is its destination? What is its excellence and its culmination? How about compassion or sympathetic joy? How is equanimity developed? What is its destination and culmination? When asked in this way, the wanderers of other schools may fall into vexation. Why is that? Because it lies beyond their range. Their systems do not address this. We do not see anyone in this cosmos, with its great beings and lesser beings, who give a satisfying answer to these questions, aside from a Buddha, a student of a Buddha, or one who has heard it from them. And how, students, is awareness release through loving kindness developed? What is its destination? What is its excellence and culmination? Beaming this energy in the 10 directions, a student can enter and remain in beautiful liberation. Awareness released through loving kindness has beauty as its excellence. When one has penetrating understanding, there is no higher release. And how is awareness released through compassion developed? What is its destination? What is its excellence, its fruit, its culmination? Beaming this energy in the 10 directions, a student can transcend perceptions of physical form. Resistance will disappear, and ignoring perceptions of division, a student enters and remains in limitless sphere of infinite space. I tell you, students, awareness released through compassion has the sphere of infinite space as its excellence. With penetrating understanding, there is no higher release. And how is awareness release through sympathetic joy developed? What is its destination, excellence, and culmination? Beaming this energy in 10 directions, a student can completely transcend the sphere of infinite space to perceive vast consciousness. They enter and remain in the limitless sphere of consciousness. Awareness release through sympathetic joy has the sphere of vast consciousness as its excellence. There is no higher release. And how is awareness release through equanimity developed? What is its destination and its culmination? Beaming this energy in 10 directions, a student can transcend the sphere of vast consciousness to perceive there is no thing. Here a student enters and remains in the sphere of emptiness. I tell you, students, awareness released through equanimity has the sphere of emptiness as its excellence. There is no higher release. The meditations on beaming the energies of loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity by our method uniquely lead to seeing beauty, infinite space, infinite consciousness, and the vastness of emptiness. They lead to seeing these qualities in all things. And so the students were gratified and shared the Buddha's answer with friends from other schools. Now we will have few moments of meditation accompanied by music.
It's always a little dicey getting on this platform, so I always feel great relief. When I succeed, I don't fall off, my little prompter doesn't fall off. I feel as though the Dharma talk is all done, if I can just sit here without having a problem. But there is a bonus, an actual Dharma talk. Let me turn on the writing here. So again, good morning and welcome to our Reno Buddhist Center, and welcome back to many of you who have not been here this year. You should have been here this year. Oh no, it's not a very long year. So far, it's not a big deal. We look forward to a new and exciting year of sharing the Dharma together. It's going to be fun. Please know, as Reverend Shelley said, that everyone is welcome at RBC. New folks come through those doors every day. And just please take the time to experience the Dharma and our Sangha and let that feeling sink in so you can feel its value. And our dear old friends who are here, we've been together for a long time now, you and I, they return as well. They have participated and recognized the value of spiritual practice in life, and that's why they're here. So, welcome to everyone. "2022, as a friend named this year. I hadn't thought of it that way till he said it. I thought, oh, you could say that. We are embarking on another trip around the sun, which it doesn't seem like we're in a little spaceship, but we are actually in a little spaceship. It's not really very big, and it flies around in space by itself. We should probably pause and reflect as we start on this new trip about where we're headed. So, we can follow a course that benefits ourselves and others by setting a clear and wholesome intention for our action in the coming year. Maybe over the vacation time that we just experienced, you had time to pause and take stock, time to reflect. Quietude allows us to reorient toward what is important, what is wholesome. It is the eighth fold of the Eightfold Path, quietude. So it's not there accidentally. It is integrally important to take the time sometimes. We stop whatever we're doing and just take a fresh look at our life. We can pause to evaluate relationships and interconnections, the ideas that we're holding so tight, and think about them. Our friends from the Buddhist Churches of America, which is kind of a big organization in America, unlike us, which are a small organization of only one temple. They have like 52 temples or something like that. And they were giving away pins. Each year they give away Buddhist pins. Sometimes it's a nice little Dharma chakra, kind of subtle, and sometimes, one time they gave away these pins and they said, I might be wrong on the pin. This is an odd pin. Usually religious organizations say, we're right. They were giving away pins that said, I might be wrong. Just to kind of open up this reflection and questioning. If I was wrong, what ways? How would that be, So, those ideas that we're holding so tight are the things that are not obvious to us. So we pause from our busy working and acquiring and building a life. We'll have time to examine what does our life really mean. The new year offers us a chance to let go attachments built up over the past years and reconnect to the real and abiding truth of our place in the crazy, mixed-up world we find ourselves in. Reorienting, recalibrating, redirecting, all those things are difficult. This is why traditions put rituals and ceremonies in place to provide us with repeated opportunities to stop and reassess and to fundamentally put a different foot forward. Weddings are like this. The two people step forward as one after the ritual. A powerful new beginning. The new year offers us all the same kind of new beginning. And Buddhism has many of these reorientation practices. Really, the more I think about it, I think all the practices in Buddhism are intended to reorient Bombunin, just regular folks like us. The main benefit of participating in the Sangha and Sangha life is that it allows us to stop our daily activities and reorient our mind towards absolute truth, wisdom and compassion experienced as Amida Buddha. Really, our whole tradition centers on reorientation. It's true. Suzuki Sensei talks about this in Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, it's a popular book. The idea of beginner's mind. Now, beginner's mind is not mind that is empty and ignorant. Instead, it is a mind willing and able to reorient and adapt and to see something totally new in every day of life. Beginner's mind does not regurgitate memorized facts. It absorbs experiences directly. How many Dharma talks have you heard? Hundreds? Thousands, maybe? And almost all of them you have forgotten. That's okay. But somehow, those teachings have absorbed directly into your being and changed you forever. With beginner's mind, look at the past year and set an intention that will bring direct experience of a wise and compassionate universe around you for the next year. Beginner's mind, applied at the new year, can break us out of habitual ruts of unexamined life. We can cast away this junk in our head and set a true course toward peaceful abiding and compassionate living. Sometimes we use the word resolutions for the new year, but I think setting intention is really more to the point. When we live life with a defined intention, it is very different from just blindly stumbling our way through each day as it comes, without clarity or conviction. When we set a true course, life's choices are easier to navigate. The simple question is this: does this action fit my values and take me onward on my spiritual path? It's one question. So if you don't know, should I do this or not, ask that question. It'll be fairly obvious where that shakes out. Really, it's one of those either it does or it doesn't kinds of things. The choice becomes pleasantly clear, without ambiguity, and it's easier. So, in Buddhism, there are many examples of wise and wonderful people setting such an intention and navigating the rest of their life according to it. The Buddha himself and Shinran Shonin, our lineage founders, are two examples of that. The Buddha repeatedly set his course on spiritual growth. Open and curious, he left his easy life of princing and became a spiritual seeker. So he had to fundamentally change course at that point. He left home and family and country behind and set that course. After 7 years of intense study, he sat under a Bodhi tree on the Naranjara River. And he said, "I will not leave this seat until I reach enlightenment." And so he sat and meditated and overcame the selfish view of the world. Because he set this final intention, the bodhicitta, enlightenment mind, did not waver. And when the morning star arose, he experienced enlightenment. And Shinran Shonin, again, he's behind me up there. He's got white tassels similar to mine. His are much bigger. It's just a statue, don't worry. Shinran Shonin, in Japan over 800 years ago, he'd spent 20 years in the important monastery complex of Mount Hiei. And he was a very accomplished in many forms. He did sutra study. He was skilled in meditation and chanting. He even had administrative responsibilities at that point. But he felt unfulfilled. If anything, he saw that his studies and practice had promoted a self-aggrandizing mind of, I am an important person, which is sort of the opposite of what Buddhist practice is taking us toward. He was dejected. And because he hadn't found success on this path, so he decided to leave the monastery that had been his home for 20 years and find a new course. Without the slightest idea of what to do next, because he'd been there since he was 9, and then he set the intention to do a 100-day meditation at a small temple in the heart of Kyoto, the Rokakudo. Some of us have been there. In some ways, I think he was crying a vision. He said, I'm just going to sit at this temple for 100 days. It wasn't really an or else. He didn't have a particular expectation. He just sat and did that meditation. And after 95 days, he didn't finish the 100. After 95 days, he had a dream where Kannon Bodhisattva, this gentle person here, came to him, guided him to study with Honen Shonin, is one of the important teachers behind me, and start a family, which is kind of a pretty big course correction if you just spent 20 years of life in a monastery. So he set that new course, and it opened up a wonderful, unfolding, blooming kind of experience that continues today by us just being here, sitting, talking together. It's all because Shinran did that reset. He changed course. He followed Honen, and though he was punished for some of that and sent into exile in the cold north of Japan, he did find this true path. And his wife and partner, Eishini, he found her there in the cold north, and they started a family together. So it was not karmically unfortunate, even though exile sounded pretty bad. It worked out. The point is that Shinran took the time and took stock of his life and prepared the ground for a new direction. A new course in life offered itself, and he was open to it with beginner's mind. And when he was open to that message of Kannon, that Amida Buddha's compassion and wise support is there for all of us, no matter who we are, that new intention was set. He spent the remaining 50 years of his life sharing the Dharma of the Pure Land Sutras all across Japan. And in a lot of ways, it didn't stop just because he died. This is exactly a continuation of that exact action of Shinran, so I just find that wonderful, interesting. With both Siddhartha and Shinran, they didn't really know what their new direction was going to be. But they had faith and trust that a path would open to them. And we can all do this when we set our intention for this coming year on some wholesome, or some people might say skillful, intention. In the reading, thank you, Shiranya, we heard most of the Metta Sutra, the Sutra on Loving Kindness. It extols the 4 wonderful virtues that we call the Brahma Viharas. These are great ideas for setting intention for the new year. That's why I brought up the list. So, Brahma Viharas means abodes of Brahma, or abodes of the gods. This is really a pre-Buddhist word, because in Buddhism we don't really get into gods at all. It's a word for great virtues, And the vihara part just means a dwelling place, for spiritual people. So the monastery in Sri Lanka that I spent time in, that was literally called a vihara. Yeah. So if you combine that with the virtues thing, you end up with these are virtuous mind states that you can dwell in. Just kind of set your mind to that and be in loving kindness. Just for a year. When choices offer themselves, decisions need to be made, we just look at that. Well, versus loving kindness, yes, that takes me in the direction. No, I don't think it takes me in the direction. Depends on the choice, the situation. The sutra outlines these 4 Brahma Viharas: loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. These Buddhist virtues or practices for their cultivation are a great way to set the course for the new year. If you just pick one and use it as a touchstone, you will find it will bring great benefit. Now, loving kindness, just to unpack that a little bit, is the mindset of caring for others with a warm heart, caring for others as though they are yourself, and also caring for yourself as though you are a dear friend. And compassion. This is the intention to both feel sympathy for others who are in need and to act to help them. Listening itself is a fundamental act of compassion that so many people in our city miss out on. Sympathetic joy. You know, we generally don't have this word. So mudita is just a word that means sympathetic joy. But in our language, it's kind of absent. That's when we feel joy, the joy of others, as though it was our own. So pick an example. What football teams do we hate? Yes, the Rebels. Okay, there we go. So imagine you could feel elation when UNLV won the Fremont Cannon. Well, I can't really do that, but you can imagine. That would be sympathetic joy. That would be quite wonderful. We can at least see that it's possible. I should have picked an easier example, but okay. This way, you're always joyful. Even if your team loses, even when the specific aspect of your life may be lacking joyful experience, the joy of others is a cause for celebration. Mudita, it's just not a common thing in our culture, but it's a good thing to cultivate. So, and equanimity, also uncommon here, is the Sanskrit word is upeksha. It means solidity, or how can I say? Whether it's raining or a bright shiny day, we just have a clear intention in life that trouble does not disturb us. As though we are a glass of water. Now imagine this glass of water, and there's a muddy river. You dip the muddy water, the water out of the muddy river, which is muddy water, and set it there, okay? If it has quietude, what happens to this obscured water? It clarifies. The sediment settles out, and it's clear. So that's what happens for us when we experience quietude. All those obscurations, all those funny little muddy particles that float around in our mind, they settle out. They don't need to be there. They don't really have their own energy of suspension, so gravity takes them away from us. And that leaves a clear view of life. It is most pleasant. So, the clarity of still water. So after that, when something goes wrong, we're not disturbed. And also, if things go right, it's not too exciting. And if things are kind of somewhere in the middle, which is where things usually are, it's okay too. But it doesn't take us off and confuse us and distract us. Our keel is deep in the water of life, and the ripples and waves, they don't take us off course. That's when we have equanimity. Sometimes I think there's ninjas on the roof, but it's not really true. It's just a funny old building that creaks and squeaks. Sometimes it sounds exactly like doom, doom, doom steps. But if I had equanimity, that sound would not disturb me. I would note it. A sound is occurring. And I would be calm and just sail forth with my keel deep in the water. But I'm like you guys. I'm just writing it out. So, probably the last practical thing I can do would be to talk about how we might set such an intention for a new year. First, we identify what that value we want to uphold in life is. It can be one of these Brahma Viharas or something else that we see as wholesome and skillful as a course to follow. We identify a single value that is the first step. Next, we get clear on who we might have to be to uphold that value. So what does that mean? Imagine or visualize upholding that value. If I always walk around every day with this kind of, oh, everything's terrible. Who was that guy, Andy Rooney? Remember his little things? I always get him confused with Rosanna Dana. But anyway, did he say, don't you hate it when... No, maybe that's Rosanna Dana. Anyway, Andy Rooney was this person on 60 Minutes, and he would always pick at these things that were just sort of annoying, If you walk around like that, you'll experience life in a certain way. But imagine if you walk through a year of life with sympathetic joy. And as soon as something was going good for anybody, you could experience that joy as your own joy. It would change completely. For Andy Rooney, he would have lost his job because his whole job was to point out those things that weren't quite right. But not seeing things as not quite right, that's a wonderful aspect of life. Maybe it's equanimity. I'm not sure which is which. I have to study these. So the next thing we do, so we just have to imagine the person we would be in that case. Now, there might be specific actions we need to take that would be constructive and take us in the direction of this core principle we have selected. If we wanted to make loving kindness part of our life and the important aspect and expression of our life, maybe we need to delete our Twitter account. So, they just, social media and loving kindness, the more I look and flick around and what do you call that, doom scrolling or whatever, I think the two are incompatible. They're just unrelated. So, I don't know. That might be a specific action you need to take. But once you select an intention for the year, then identifying the actions that maybe you need to let go of are part of that. So to set this intention, we have to shift some limiting beliefs. For example, if we intend to take refuge in the meet of Buddha, this gentle person here, but we don't believe it's really possible for us to do that, those things are at odds. We can want to, and also believe it, we can't. There's lots of people that do things that they want to try, they try to do, but they know they can't. What always happens in those situations? They don't, because they think they can't. So breaking through those belief structures that limit us is essential. Also, in the process of setting this intention, we need to have some kind of a habitual practice that reinforces the intention. If we set the intention, and this is more true of New Year's resolutions, often after 3 or 4 weeks of whatever this new year is, 2022 I'm going to call it, it's very long. I like the way it just 2022. I mean, you're in there. It's going to be a while before I'm going to finish saying the name of this year. So 2022. I need to have a routine to reinforce my intention. So with resolutions, often by the 3rd week, do you even remember what the resolution was? I mean, sometimes it's a little bit of a dig, like, oh, is that the year before, or is that my... So if we set up a practical system in each day, I'm making my tea in the morning, I'm thinking about equanimity, or I'm thinking about loving kindness, and I can kind of set that intention for the day. Each day, oddly enough, is very similar to a new year because the spinning of the earth makes us come to the sun over and over again each day after day, and then the whole lap around the sun is also a relationship with the sun thing. So you can see how a year and a day are almost kind of like the same thing. Setting intention at the beginning of the day is important, and then at the end of the day, if we have some method, people use gratitude journals. Sometimes they just always kind of finish up the day thinking about how to go, where could I adjust my course to follow that intention I'd set, that I had reinforced in the morning with my cup of tea. Now I'm sitting here, the sun has gone down, I'm thinking, well, that went well, except for that one time I started, not expressing myself with loving kindness. And then I can try again tomorrow. There's always tomorrow to try again. So, and the last piece of setting an intention is to sort of lean in to confidence that this shift will take hold. Now, our Nembutsu practice is like this. Namu Amida Butsu. We take refuge in Amida Buddha, but we can easily take refuge in equanimity or compassion or faith. Whatever that intention we have set, have faith that it is wholesome and it is a good course and it will work. We don't have to know where it will lead in our life to go forward without fear. We can have that strength of conviction, character, to have faith, to know, even though I don't really know what it means, to go through a year thinking about which one of those is most interesting. Say that again. Sympathetic joy. Okay, good. Sympathetic joy. It's really interesting. Obviously, on ESPN, it is not popular, but there are other aspects, where sympathetic joy is wonderful. I don't know where spending a year thinking about sympathetic joy, trying to apply it, finding the opportunities. I don't know where that would take me. After a year, what would I be like, I'd probably be different, and it'd probably be wholesome, so I can have some faith and confidence. That's a good pick. Yes, thank you for remembering that one, just teasing. There were 4 of them, and we listed them. So that's really all I wanted to share with you today. When we embark on our new year, just take stock, pause, reflect, find that one thing that would be good to kind of focus on, and focus that intention for the new year. This will be a true course. And consider choosing one of our Brahma Viharas. I will list them again. Loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. And it will make for a most interesting year. I guarantee it, as my friend George liked to say. And whichever one speaks to you, follow that intention. Joyfully experience where it takes you in life. And it'll be a good year for all of us. So, to finish, I'd like to share our positive intentions toward all beings. So, you can make gasho if you enjoy it. May you be happy. May you be free from harm. May you receive boundless compassion. And may peace and harmony fill your heart. Namanda, namanda, namanda. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Even with most of your face obscured, I can kind of tell that people are sharing it, the intention of attention, so that's wonderful. I do have an announcement. Most important, there are tea and treats downstairs. We go through these doors, kind of circle down the stairs, and there are tea and treats there. Oh, my goodness. I seem to have forgotten that we have not shared our Reno Buddhist Center theme song. It's on page 49 of your service book. If you could stand, I won't because my legs are asleep, but go ahead. Masako went to the trouble of recording it for us, so here we go. Away, away, And I have a few announcements today. Tea and treats, we covered that. It went through these doors, circle around and downstairs. We also will have newcomer circle there. So if you're new and you have questions about Buddhism, or you'd like to hear other people's questions about Buddhism because you don't have any yet, that would be great. So just follow down, get a cup of tea. We'll sit at one table downstairs. That's our method. And the only other, there's a bunch of announcements on the sheet here, so you can find those. They all refer to different things on the calendar back here. So on the back, there's a calendar. So if you want to know about what's going on, that's where to check. Most important of all, our Buddhism 101 class is going to begin on January 22nd. That's in consecutive Saturdays, 3 Saturdays in a row. It will start at 10 and go till noon. And we'll just kind of dig into what is this Buddhism thing you speak of, and we'll kind of do that in an organized, systematic way. Some folks, that's the best way for them. Some folks just kind of show up and pick up things and ask questions in the random method. That's actually a more ancient method of Buddhist presentation. But we'll have our actual class starting on the 22nd. So that's all the announcements. Thank you very much. Thus endeth the service.